Hello everyone, my name is Sahil and welcome to a new session on ethos, what is the right thing to be done. Here we take some of the concepts from ethics GS paper number 4 and explain them in the exam presentable manner. Now in the today's video, we will be going to take up the discussion on some of the foundational values, that is the value of apathy, sympathy, empathy, compassion, as well also we are going to take up the discussion on altruism. Moreover, we'll also see this term, that is the bureaucratic inertia, that has been recently used by the Supreme Court. So we'll see that what this bureaucratic inertia is, why it has been used, and where it will be fitting in this set of values. We'll also be taking some of the contemporary examples from the times of the pandemic, and through the help of these examples we'll understand these issues, and we'll also see that how you can use these examples in your answer to show a kind of a distinct edge in your answers. In terms of utility, this topic will be directly important in the topic number 3, where the aptitude and the foundational values have been mentioned. And out of all these values, the two values have directly written in your syllabus, that is the value of empathy and the value of compassion. However, we'll try to understand all of them together so that a better understanding and the confusion, if it is there, it gets cleared. So now let's start with the discussion. So the first value that we'll discuss, it will be the value of apathy. Value of apathy. Now apathy, it can simply be explained as a state of indifference towards the other people who are in some pain, in some crisis, or in a type of a misery. So when you see another person in pain, crisis, or misery, you are not at all moved. You are not at all concerned while seeing this particular person. That is the apathy. You can understand this particular example by one short example that I will be giving you in all of them. Let's say you are an IAS officer. One day you are working late in your office. You come out, let's say it is a very winter, it is a very chilly night. You come out and you see a person, he is shivering out in the cold, he is a homeless person, not having a proper clothing. You not at all are concerned that, okay, what a condition of that particular person is. You sit in your car and you just go away. You don't bother to ask about his condition. What it is apathy, a state of indifference. Now, when we talk about the apathy, one example we can take from the times of the pandemic. What is this example? Now, this is a picture where I have shown you a receipt of one ambulance service that was given. In the times of the COVID-19 second wave, which came into the April, the ambulance owners, they were charging thousands and thousands of rupees for giving the service of some few kilometers. Into this particular case, you can see 1,20,000 rupees were charged for a journey of nearly 300 kilometers. More than 1,20,000 rupees are charged. What it is an example of apathy. See, when we talk about profit is a justifiable goal of a business. It should be taken up. But profiteering, making excess profit and taking the advantage of another person's vulnerable situation, it is nothing but an attitude of apathy. It is nothing but the portrayal of apathy. Now, apathy, it is not a very desirable kind of a value. Apathy is not something which should be there into the civil servants, even into the citizens. Even when we talk about the apathy, there is one particular quote also that you can note down. This is a quote from the Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura says, government is at its worst when you have apathy from its citizen. When the citizen will turn indifferent, it will be the worst situation. Fine, so this is about the apathy. Now, guys, the apathy could be of 3 types. Number 1, there comes the emotional apathy. Now, emotional apathy means that you don't experience any kind of emotion. Neither you experience the positive emotions, nor you experience the negative emotions. That is the emotional apathy. Not sensing any pain, not sensing any happiness from the other people. Clear? Then the next comes, it is the behavioral apathy. Now, behavioral apathy means a lack of self-initiated action. You see anything wrong is going on. You see anything bad is going on. You don't take any initiative. You don't take any action. You are simply unmoved. Chalta hai approach. Chalta hai approach. What it is? It is the behavioral apathy. Now let's focus on the word bureaucratic inertia that has been used by the Supreme Court. So why Supreme Court used this bureaucratic inertia? It was used in the context of the winter pollution problem in the Delhi. Repeatedly, Delhi has been called as a gas chamber into the months of November and December because the pollution increases to such a high level. Severe pollution, okay, such kind of issue happens. But the administration, they don't take any action. They are just sitting, they are not taking any action, they are just waiting that a guideline should come from the judiciary, a guideline should come from the NGT or from a Supreme Court, only they will become, then they will be coming into action. What it is the bureaucratic apathy. It is bureaucratic apathy. It means that the bureaucrats, they are not taking any action, and this bureaucratic apathy can also be called as the bureaucratic inertia, a lack of action by the bureaucrats. So this bureaucratic inertia or bureaucratic apathy is one type of apathy where administration, civil servants, public servants, they are not taking any action. And this is a type of a behavioral apathy, not desirable value from the civil servants. Then the third value which comes here, it is the bystander apathy. It is the bystander apathy. Now, what does this bystander apathy means? This particular value particularly is portrayed into the times of a trauma or into the times of an accident. Into the times of a trauma or in the times of an accident. See, many times you might have seen this particular thing, that when an accident happens, the people, they are clicking the pictures, they are making the video, but they are not taking the person to the hospital. According to a report by the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, it has been provided that every year more than 1,40,000 people die in accident, and in last 10 years 30 lakh people, they have died into the accident. Into this particular capacity, if we take a data from the Save Life Foundation, the Save Life Foundation provide that in 74% of the cases, people, when they see a person has been struck into an accident, 74% people, they don't take any action. This is a golden hour which a person is facing when he has struck into an accident. This is a golden hour. People don't take them to the hospital. What it is the bystander apathy. Seeing a person in accident or in a trauma, but you are not giving any help. Bystander apathy. Now, if I use this bystander apathy concept a little bit more, even the Good Samaritan law. Now, the Good Samaritan law came into the force after a nudge by a Supreme Court in 2016. Under this Good Samaritan law, the people, they have been given an immunity that if you take a person to the hospital who had been caught in an accident, you will not be penalized. Rather, you will be appreciated. Why this Good Samaritan law came? This Good Samaritan law simply came to remove this bystander apathy that was there into the people. Every year our demographic dividend is getting reduced because people are dying in accident. So this is the different types of apathy, simply a state of indifference. In the times of pandemic, we also see the example of apathy that have been portrayed, not a desirable thing. Moving, now the next concept that comes, it is the sympathy. Sympathy. Now what does the sympathy means? Sympathy means to acknowledge the pain of the other person. You see a person in pain and you acknowledge the other person's pain, that yes, it is a sad state. I feel sorry for you. That is a sympathy. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about the sympathy, let's understand that story that we used. We'll be using the same story in all the examples. You are an IAS officer. You are working in your office. Late night. It is a chilly winter night. You come out. You see a person. He's homeless. He's shivering in the cold. You go and you say this person that, okay, it is very cold. I feel sorry for you. It might be very hard. He'll say that, yes, sir, it is very hard. You acknowledge the person's pain, you sit in your car and you go away. You have your dinner, then you spend some quality time with your children, wife, you sleep, again you come to the office. Sympathy. What you did, you simply acknowledged a person's pain. That's it. After that, nothing. You acknowledge a person's pain, sympathy. Now in the times of COVID-19 pandemic, the example of sympathy could be seen that the hospital beds, they were full. There was no place to accommodate the patients. The hospitals, they sympathized. They said this thing, sorry, we are regretful that we are stopping the admission because oxygen supply is not there. When you reached to the hospital, they said that, yes, we can understand your pain. We understand that you need the bed and it is the question of life and death, but we simply can't do anything. Acknowledging pain, sympathy. Fine. Now, after the sympathy, the next comes, it is empathy. Empathy. Now the empathy, it is more intense. It is more intense than the sympathy. Empathy means that you will step in the shoes of the other person. From their perspective, you will try to experience that what that person is going. Is it clear? It is more intense. Fine. Let's take that story again. We'll understand that particular thing by the help of same story we have taken up. You are an IAS officer. You are working in your office late night. You see outside a person is shivering into the cold. You go to that person. You ask his condition. You say that yes, it is a very unfortunate situation, and you are actually very moved by seeing his condition. You are very sad. You feel you are into the tears seeing that particular person's condition. You sat in your car. When you were going to your home, then also you are thinking about that person only. You reach to your home. You don't like the food. You don't eat food. Throughout the entire night, you are not able to sleep. Why? Because you are feeling the pain that that person is feeling. That is empathy. Empathy is not to just acknowledge the pain, rather experience the pain from the perspective of the other person. Sympathy was to acknowledge pain, but empathy is to feel the pain of the other people, stepping into the shoes of the other people. Now, the example of empathy from the times of the pandemic, we can see. Guys, what happened? Many of the doctors, they came out and they were crying. Okay, they were crying, they were weeping. Okay, we can see the examples of the doctors. They were crying. Why? Because they were not able to help the people in the crisis. They were not able to save the lives. People were dying in front of them because they were not getting the oxygen and they were not able to do anything. Fine. So, doctors crying on the video, what it is an example of empathy. They were feeling the pain of the other people. Okay, that is the empathy. We talk about empathy. There could be two types of empathy. Affective empathy could be there. Cognitive empathy could be there. Is it clear? Guys, what do we mean by the affective empathy? Affective empathy means to responding to other people's emotion, to respond to the other people's emotions into an appropriate, with an appropriate emotion. Affective empathy means you go to a funeral, in the funeral you see that people, they are very sad, people are very sad, and with the reciprocative emotion, you also respond. You go to some person's birthday party, there you show a particular type of emotion that is needed there. So reciprocating the another person with the relevant emotion, reciprocating the another person with that particular type of emotion, it is affective empathy. So if a person is grieving, you will also show the grief. Affective empathy. Cognitive empathy, it means to understand the another person's perspective. Is it clear? Let's take one example. Suppose you and your friend, fine, you planned that we will be meeting, let's say, at 5 p.m. in the evening. You reached there at 5 p.m. Your friend was not able to reach there at 5 p.m. You called up your friend and you are asking that where you are, you have not reached here. Your friend tells you that, okay, I am stuck into a traffic jam because of an accident that has happened. Now you know that he is speaking truth. Fine. Even you, let's say you got to heard onto the FM also that that particular way is jammed. You know that he is saying a true fact. Even he said to you that, okay, I left the home well in the time and I could have reached there at 4:15 fact, but now I can't do anything. I am stuck into this situation. The cognitive empathy means you will understand that person's situation and you will not be unnecessarily be creating a misunderstanding. So cognitive empathy, understanding another person's perspective, their viewpoint. And this cognitive empathy is very much needed into the today's time to reduce the disputes and all these kind of things that are there. So two types of empathy. Then further moving on, after that we have the value of compassion. Now what does this compassion means? Compassion is to see another person in pain. It is to see another person in pain and taking an action to reduce the suffering of the another person, to reduce the pain of the other person. You will do something that is a compassion. Let's take the same example of an IAS officer. You IAS officer, you are working late night, you see another person into the cold, he is shivering, you go to that person, ask his problem. Then what you will do? Now you will take that person along with you to a night shelter, to a Ran Basera, you will take that person. Then you will be asking that person that, okay, now you can sleep here. You will be arranging some warm clothing for that person. You will also ask that, have you eaten the food? If not, you will be offering the food also to that person. Then you will also be making sure that what is his employment status, and if you are an IAS officer, you have such capacity that you can tell him the government schemes that are there under which the employment benefit or such kind of help can be given. You will be educating them with respect to that. You will also be following up that, okay, whether he was able to avail the food, he was able to avail some kind of a government benefit. Okay, this is a compassion. Taking the, what you did, you saw a person in pain and taking some action, taking some initiative to reduce that particular person's pain. That is a compassion. So after the empathy, next thing that comes, it is the compassion. Now in the times of COVID-19 pandemic, we can see the example of compassion. What happened? Many of the public spirited individuals, they came out, and by using what they did, they actually provided the oxygen concentrators to the people. Here we can see the example of the Gurdwara hosting the oxygen langar. Now the people who needed oxygen, they provided them the support. People delivered the food to the people who were hungry. Is it clear? Providing them the essential medicines to the people who needed the most. It is the compassion. So people coming out and helping the people in terms of medicine, food, it is an example of compassion. Then the next comes, it is the altruism. Altruism. Now guys, altruism, it is a value which pertains that a person put himself into the pain, a person put himself into the discomfort and walks an extra mile to help another person who is in pain. So walking an extra mile, putting yourself into the pain, putting yourself into the discomfort and helping another. This is the altruism. Now the altruism can be understood by one of a Shibi Jataka. Shibi Jataka. Jatakas are the stories from the previous birth of Buddha. So there is one Shibi Jataka that is there. Now, once upon a time, there was the King Shibi. King Shibi, now the King Shibi was sitting in his court, and suddenly a bird came and he sat on the lap of King Shibi. King Shibi was tendering this bird, and suddenly in 1 or 2 minutes, another predator bird, a falcon or an eagle, it came there, and he asked the King Shibi that hand over this bird to me, this bird is my food. King Shibi said that I am the man of dharma, and it is my dharma to protect all of the subjects who are living in my kingdom. Even this bird is the citizen, he is also the subject of my kingdom, and I have to save him also. This is my dharma, being a king. At the same time, this another bird, he asked the King Shibi that, sir, you are right that you have to follow your dharma, but isn't it your dharma to protect me also? I am also your subject. Now the food chain works like this, that I have to eat this bird, otherwise I'll die. It is also your dharma to protect me also. So as a part of your responsibility, give this bird to me. Now the King Shibi was in a dilemma, because in fact whatever was said by the bird, it was true. What King Shibi did? King Shibi cut the part of his own flesh. He cut the part of his own body and offered that flesh to the bird, so that you please have your food, but as a king, I cannot give this bird. This was altruism. In order to save it, in order to save this bird, he offered his own flesh. So putting yourself into the pain, putting yourself into the discomfort, but helping the others, it is the value of altruism. Now, the altruism's example, we can see from the times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Read this article. Kerala BD worker donates lives saving to the COVID relief fund. So what happened? One of a BD worker, he saved his entire life saving, 2 lakh rupees, and was just left with 800 rupees in his bank account. And he did not did this particular thing to get some fame. This entire donation was anonymous donation into the Chief Minister's Relief Fund. Chief Minister's Relief Fund, anonymous donation a BD worker made. Fine. Not only his life saving, but some of a gratuity money that was of his wife, that thing was also donated. One another woman from the Uttarakhand, she donated the entire life saving. She did not have a husband. She was the only one in the house. Entire life saving, she also donated into the PM Cares Fund. So people donating their entire life saving, they might be at discomfort into this particular thing, but they are keeping another's concerns at the primacy. This is the value of altruism. Is it clear? So these are the spectrum of the different values. And guys, into this particular capacity, if we see all these particular values on a kind of a scale, we can see that first of all, the apathy will be coming. First of all, there will be the value of apathy that will be coming. That is the sense of indifference. at the lowest level. Then after that, we can see that there will be the value of sympathy that will be coming, that is showing the pity for another people, acknowledging other person's pain. So number one, at the base will be the apathy, not desirable. Then the sympathy, okay, little bit desirable. Then there comes the empathy, that is participating in another's pain, placing yourself into their perspective. Then the fourth from the low, that will be the compassion, not just feeling the pain, helping. And then the altruism, helping others even at the cost of your own discomfort. So this is from the apathy, sympathy, empathy, compassion, we reach to the altruism. And when we talk about the foundational value for the civil servants, two of them, that is the empathy and compassion, have directly been mentioned in our syllabus. So I hope that the understanding onto these values, you got it. Now, why this empathy and compassion is needed? The empathy and compassion both are needed because the civil servants, they happen to be the change makers. They happen to be the change makers. They are bringing, they are meant to bring the justice for the people. There are a lot of aspirations of the people. They have to remove the poverty, they have to remove the malnourishment, they have to remove this hunger, disease, ignorance, everything. And for that particular thing, you need to have a human touch in your approach. You need to have a compassionate heart into this particular approach. When we talk about the words that are used by the government, 2 years back, in the economic survey, there was a full chapter, wiping every tear from every eye. Wiping every tear from every eye. Government uses the word government with a human face. Now, what are these key terms pertain to? They pertain to the empathy and compassion that needs to be there into the governance, that needs to be there into the attitude of the civil servants. So therefore, they happen to be one of the foundational value that is to be there. Is it clear? So guys, I hope that this particular confusion, if it would have been there between all these values, it is now clear. So that is all for the today's video. We'll be meeting with another video. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.